Welcome back. This episode is brought to you by Black Mammoth.
Da, da, da.
Da, da, da. I just love it. We've been getting good feedback on the ending because a couple advisors have gotten to the disclosure part and they love it. So I just had to start with it. But here we are, episode 7, and we're getting down and dirty with budgeting. The topic everyone hates the most, probably. The word budgeting usually means constrained, means I can't do something, which kind of is true. But it's more along the line of a law of averages and things that we need to stay near. So let's start with just a pure definition from you guys of budgeting. What is budgeting, or what does budgeting mean to you, and how you feel about it?
I can kind of tackle
Do we
this
need
one.
shots? Like,
Yeah,
I
I can kind of tackle this one a
now?
little bit.
I need a shot.
Budget for me has changed, I think, drastically with my mindset. I kind of mentioned it a while back as to how my money mindset changed. I think it was in episode 5 about some of those bigger purchases now that I'm about to become a dad are actually exciting. But at the same time, it's something that I need to budget for and plan for. So for me, I look at budgets as more of goals rather than like, hey, it's my goal to, have X amount of dollars in the green at this month, or it's my goal to budget or plan and income and expenses to take this vacation at this time. So for me, budget is less of a negative, and I try and look at it as more of like a goal planning tool for me.
I love budgeting. Yes. No.
Camera.
I love
She just
budgeting.
lied.
Like a lot. No,
A lot.
I like a lot.
Box
A lot.
of chocolates.
No, I think so. Budgeting has evolved for me in many different times in my life, whether I like it or I don't like it. And it probably depends on how you're doing with money, how much you've spent, all those different things. So the way I define it right now is it's an awareness exercise, what's coming in, what's going out. And it's just something that's really good to know. And I think if you don't know it, you can get into a lot of trouble. But it's an important thing to move forward with. It can be fun. I think if you do it with somebody else and you go through it and you see what, you spent money on, vacations, travel, those things, like experiences, you can kind of reflect on those. And then it also allows you to plan ahead and prepare for the future. And I think that's such an important thing that as planners we like to do and help people to do. So I think it's a really great starting point for people to be at and have that awareness, have that accountability around what you're spending your money around, what's going in, what's going out. And it's an important part of your future building wealth.
Yeah, I agree. My definition of budgeting really doesn't make much sense because having all the firms and figuring out budgets and company budgets are different than personal budgets, FYI, if everyone wanted to know that. But also for ours, it's just a little different. Like I look at them as averages. Our money sometimes comes in chunks, not just always monthly. So we reflect and use it as a barometer of like, okay, we're good. We're within some confines. But really, when I talk to clients and just speak about budgeting in general, it allows you to understand what it takes to get somewhere, right? Every day in life, we wake up, we brush our teeth, we go to work, etc. Those grinding steps, that's what your budget is showing you that you're doing. And the budgeting piece and the day-to-day, the month-to-month is just the grind to get to somewhere, right? And hopefully in there, you're able to go on vacation. You're able to buy that thing for somebody and have that experience, because truly that's what life's about, is just experiences. But that budget is just the nitty-gritty, dirty work of getting to achieve those. And it shouldn't be a negative connotation. It is only, and I don't know what episode it is because I need to be more organized, but my intro, when I talked with the barber about the money mindset, right? If you think about your budget as just trying to trim as much fat and get all the expenses out as possible, then you have a negative money mindset. If you look at your budget and you go, hey, this is like where I need to get, what I need to do to accomplish these certain things as more of a positive thing, and the experiences I can do to do so, then you're in a positive money mindset. Your budget is designed to help you get to achieve your goals, not to look at it and try to trim all the fat out, because you'll go insane and you won't be focusing on making money.
You're a foodie, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So trimming the fat's trimming some of the flavor.
A little bit.
I mean, trimming the fat completely off there. Yeah, it's trimming some of the flavor.
If you've trimmed all the fat off a piece of meat, it's going to be dry, it's going to be boring, and you're not going to like it.
Same thing with your budget. If you're trying to trim all of your expenses, you're trying to trim down on everything, your life is not going to be how you want to live it. It's going to be boring. It's going to be dry. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want. It's going to be flavorless.
I love that analogy. We're using that from now on, by the way. Well done. Yeah, trim all the fat. You will have no fun, no flavor, and no one wants to eat you or touch you. Or
You're not living life. You're not living life.
But you do have to trim. If there's excess fat, we do need to trim it down to about an inch.
Well, and there's probably times.
Depends what
it's like certain times that you do need to maybe step back a little bit, and it's a certain amount of time. Right. You can go back to doing that.
So in episode 6, we talked about making those adjustments, right? So I think what you're saying there is there's a time to reflect and make those adjustments, but don't just make yourself miserable.
Yeah. Right.
That's not fun. So definition of budgeting and the best analogy that we've had so far. Ever, I think that was really well done. And you've been off the mic
hungry.
for a while.
You're making me hungry.
I know. I do have some Wagyu strip in my fridge right now.
There we go.
Anyways,
there we go.
All right, back to not stuff that makes us hungry. All right, so we got the definition of budgeting. What are the initial things that when? All right, we'll go down 2 paths right now. We're going to go down the path of someone who's never done a budget, wants to stay away from it, living paycheck to paycheck or whatever, and just doesn't want to deal with the budget because they're afraid of it or whatever. And then we'll go down the path of someone who either has a planner, which everyone should have a planner, has a planner or doesn't, but has budgeted before. Okay, so let's start down the left side. No one's done a budget before. They've never been in that conversation. They've never even looked at it. They just know that they have money. They spend it at the end of the month. It's either not there or it's there. Okay. What is the first thing that they need to understand or realize or do in this process?
Well, I think it goes back to even before actually doing something is the money mindset, like understanding how they feel about money. What do they feel like when money's going out, or if they don't have enough, or if they're have an abundance of money coming in. So really understanding themselves around money and how it works, I think is the first step.
That's episode 5 plug.
There we go. For me, one of the big steps, a budget, as grueling as you want to think of it, but it needs to be detailed. We talk about high level money coming in, money going out, but when we're talking about that and when we're summarizing it into a high level, we are talking about every single expense that's, when we work with clients, it's a monthly expense. If there's a monthly expense that's happening over and over again, it's going to be in there, regardless of the size of that amount. If it's a Netflix subscription, if it's something random like that, put that in your budget, because too often small little items get overlooked, or sometimes we're planning more money towards something and we find more money in our budget when we're actually sitting down and looking at the details. So trying to get yourself to this high level summary is really, really hard to do. So you just got to get down to that nitty gritty and hold yourself accountable into a higher standard.
I'm just going to feed off both of those because 100% correct, is to not be afraid. You doing this is something that all wealthy people do. We all do it. Maybe not always and always every month. But if you don't know what money's coming in and what money's going out and where it's happening, then you're not even really living, you're surviving. And we want everyone to be able to thrive and build your wealth. So in order to do so, you have to sit down with yourself and you have to realize, I can do this. It might be stressful. You might need a bottle of wine or whatever it is.
Chocolate.
Shots of tequila. Whatever. To get through it, but it's gonna make you feel better once it's done. Now, there's still a lot of work to be done, but once you agree to say, hey, self, let's sit down, let's run through this and see where we're at. That's step 1 in my mind. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? Like you haven't been in a long time or you've never been. The hardest thing to do in a gym is just to get into the gym.
Like step into the gym.
Just step into the gym. Then from there, your body will take over. It might not be the best workout ever, but at least you're moving and you're doing something, and that's where we need to get you to. We need to get you in. We need to just get you to start moving, stretching, maybe a sauna sesh, something like that. All right, so now they mentally decided to go forward. They've never done a budget before. Where do they start? How do they start?
Great question.
It is. Silence.
I think
scary.
The top of the line item
Be detailed.
for me. Be detailed, obviously, but top of the line item for me is how much money is coming in. What does that pay stub look like? Get those pay stubs, and if you're an hourly or your pay changes based off pay stub to pay stub, get as many as you can and create that average. You said law of averages. Set number one item. What's the money coming in? Focus there first. When you can figure out every dollar that's coming in, if you have a side gig and you have a side hustle, how much is coming in from that? If you have your regular W-2 paycheck, what's coming in from there? If you're 1099 and you're, a real estate agent and you have, X amount of dollars every single month that are going to come in, or if it's something like us where we say it comes in chunks.
Or it's cash, too.
Right.
Count the cash.
Everything.
Now, maybe we don't put it in the bank, and there's some other things we'll talk about.
Not all cash.
But count the cash. It's not just free money. Don't just go spend it. The cash is part of your income. We will get to, if you have a side gig and when you do the whole budgeting, we'll get to the point of maybe some of it is just play money. But step one, everything you just said, including cash. Always make sure you know where your money's coming in. Because if you know that number, then you can start to derive what your expenses are. That one's easy.
Is that next step?
Next step?
Expenses?
Expenses? Yeah, money going out. What are some expenses that, well, let's go with the easy ones. Let's knock out the easy expenses that most people all have that we need to account for. Just shout them out.
Rent or mortgage?
Yep. Car payment, okay, we'll go with a mortgage as well. Insurance on those cars, property and casualty, whatever it is, if you're bundled.
Could be student loans, groceries,
Something that's sitting right in front of all of us right now.
Gas, cell phones,
our phone bills.
Those subscriptions,
TV,
those add up.
Yeah, TV,
you start with one.
Internet, subscriptions, right? Healthcare, of course. People with kids,
childcare, daycare. Yeah. Ouch.
It's a lot, but I still feel like it's not like they deserve more. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, I'm not giving it because it doesn't fit my budget. But like it's one of those items that you're like, that is expensive, but they definitely could have more. All right, so those are the easy ones up top, right? All the notes, all the car notes, etc. Okay, let's get into some ones that people might not think about, or they think about, but they just kind of write it off as, I need it, or it's $1 or $2. A little bigger than $1 or $2, but
I mean, for me, some of those luxury items, I guess I would call it, is so many people, we see it all the time. They get a coffee every single day. I'm drinking a coffee right now. You're stopping at Starbucks every single day, and that might be a $6 or $7 expense every single day.
Where'd that coffee come from?
The Keurig.
Exactly. Drink your company's coffee. It's free, hopefully. If it's not, then other questions. Coffee's a huge one. I know it's an analogy that advisors and planners use all the time, but truthfully, like if you are buying 1 to 2 Starbucks, and everyone hounds Starbucks because it's expensive.
But it's good.
It's expensive. It's not good.
Expensive. I go local.
No.
I buy local.
I buy from Hawaii.
I don't drink coffee, so it makes it easy for me.
Oh, well, there's that. All right. Fine. Don't drink coffee.
I won't.
But you're right. Because if you're doing 1 or 2 of those a day, that's $7-8 a pop. That's $15 a day. A day. Yeah. Well over $100 a week.
I mean, another thing, we talked about cars. We talked about car notes, different stuff like that. People write off, it's weird, but people just write off their gas. They say, well, I have to get from point A to point B, so it might be a round number. Oh, it takes about $30. It takes about $50. It takes about $100 at this point right now. Whatever it might be. But actually, I mean, what do those receipts actually say? We talked about being detailed and getting down to the nitty-gritty. Be detailed in everything you do.
Agreed.
So that's another one right there.
Well, I got gifts on my mind, so it's like
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
holiday gifts, other things that pop up, birthday gifts, everything, they add up over time. Kid gifts.
Kid gifts.
You just walk through Target, they want something. So.
Right.
and then everything at the checkout right there.
Yeah.
Boop,
That they can
I'm
touch,
adding that in.
right?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
wait till they have all of their friends' birthdays.
Oh,
that
yeah.
You don't account for.
I can't wait for that.
Jeez. It's a lot.
It's a
I
lot.
promise you.
And I think, kids then want to be in activities. You want to put them in those kinds of things.
You have to
Typically they
plan for
cost.
those.
So you have to start thinking about
Not
that.
only do we have those friends' birthdays for our kids, but we have them for ourselves
Right.
as well.
Weddings.
Yeah, give me a
Oh,
present.
Weddings,
Weddings.
and stuff.
Gotta be the
obviously,
most
I
expensive
just
line item.
I
Wedding
just went
season's
through it.
rough.
Obviously, yeah. But I mean, you have 5, 6, 7, 10 of them a year, whatever it might be. It adds up quick.
Yeah.
So
Another one that people kind of write off, actually could write off, is charitable donations. Usually to church, it's on autopilot. They just do it, or they have a 10 in their pocket or whatever. And it's like, yes, it is going for something good. However, we do need to track it for 2 reasons. One, tax purposes, which we'll get Brian on, go through taxes here in a month or two. And the other is it's still part of your budget. It's leaving your pocket. And if it's leaving, we kind of need to know. Otherwise, is your plan and your budget really complete? No, not really.
as we keep going through this, I'm going to reiterate something to you guys. Don't think that we're telling you absolutely not on these things. But what we're telling you is make sure that you account for them.
Absolutely.
We're not saying don't do these things. We are not saying that. We want you to enjoy your life. We just talked about, earlier, trimming the fat off. We want you to enjoy life. We're not saying, hey, you can't do this. Hey, you can't do that.
This is just to see how much fat there is and how much meat there is.
Still making me hungry.
Don't stop. But that's what we're trying to gauge. Meat being your income and fat being expenses. We need to know how much before you can start to adjust.
Yep.
Right? All right. So I think we nailed a lot of them. I can't really think of much.
I mean, there's always those miscellaneous items. I'll hit it here next year quite hard as I have a kid, but diapers and kids is different, stuff like that. But clothes, budgeting for that. I mean, people get an article of clothing.
Barber, don't forget your hair.
Don't forget
Ladies, gents, don't forget the hair and the tip and the nails, massages. All of those go into play. That's a good point. That's what just triggered that, by the way. So, all right. So, step 3, we figured out fat, right? And how much fat we have.
Yep.
Okay. So, step 4, this is where people get the most out of when they have a negative mindset, and that's how do you trim the fat and what are ways? We have to discuss it because it's important. The reason we're doing it before income is because garnering more income is more important to the budget than cutting the expenses. So what are some unique ways to trim the fat? Going to a sauna, run, sweatsuit it? Is that how you wrestlers do it? No, that's not fat. That's water weight.
No. Yeah,
Can you still do
exactly.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely
Okay.
they do it.
I will say, moving on from my competing days where I was awful at cutting weight and did it the wrong way, the amount of kids that are using nutritionists and different stuff to help actually trim that bad fat and do those good things is incredible nowadays. And
Wish we had
we utilize one. A lot of our kids utilize one over at Johnston, and he's a miracle worker. He works with a ton of athletes, and he sometimes when he sees his athletes wrestle each other, it kind of tugs on his heartstrings. He's like, I don't know which way to go. Who's my
No
favorite?
favorites.
No
Whoever
favorites.
wins.
Exactly.
Whoever
exactly.
wins is my favorite.
Exactly. But no, they're doing the right thing. So I think
Sure.
we can be a nutritionist in that way too.
So cut fat. Let's go from kind of how we started. First thing was rent, mortgage, right? Rent. It's really tough to cut that, right? There's not much you can do there unless you wanted to go move.
Unless you move, right?
So
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Mortgage, there's a little more options.
Maybe refinance.
Finance is a big one, right? If you're in a
Able.
10, 15 year, maybe go to a 30 year, free up some of that cash, right? If your interest rate's high, or even if it's not, refinancing, if you've been on a 30 and you're paying to 20, refinancing to another 30, it will still free up day-to-day cash. Now, I'm not saying just go do that for that purpose, but if you have cash flow problems, that is another route to do so. Or sell. I guess you can always go aggressive. And
we're talking about rent and mortgage at the same time. If you're young and you're doing this budget for the first time, and maybe you're a first-time home buyer as a bachelor or bachelorette, if you have friends that can rent from you, utilize it.
oh, absolutely.
Utilize it.
Get some income. We're getting that next. Don't talk about income yet.
Hey, you're talking about trimming the fat. I'm saying that
extra
helps
room
trim.
going.
That helps trim that
It
payment.
does. It does trim. It does. Well, I mean that's adding meat. It's not
All
trimming
right,
fat.
fair.
Next, we'll go anything with a loan, right? You can refinance any of your loans.
Refinance, yeah.
Credit cards or whatever. You can look at changing the date that they're paid, right? Usually, we all get paid the 1st and the 15th. Typically, well, if all your payments coming out on the 1st and you have no money, that's usually an issue.
Yeah.
So look at your credit cards or any of your loans and see if you can't move that payment date. Same thing with student loans. Again, right now, don't be paying your student loans because the
Right,
government
just got pushed back.
pushed it back. Now, if this comes out and we play this again in 2023 and we still have to, and that's now we're pay them, please. But if not, hopefully they all get forgiven. That'd be great. But make sure you're paying them, obviously. But yes, you can adjust and refinance.
Shopping around property and casualty insurance. If you're not bundled or anything like that, if you've had, whatever carrier for several years now, insurance prices go up. Your premiums are going to go up. So sometimes maybe shopping with a new carrier or finding a broker that can do it for you and saying, hey, I want to see 10, 12 different quotes. But getting quotes on that, who knows? Maybe you're still the cheapest, and maybe you've trimmed that fat off and you've done a good enough job, but making sure that you're properly covered and not overpaying for that too.
It's also a good way to check your coverage. Make sure you have the right coverage.
Yeah, we just found that out with our insurance. With our roof, apparently we don't have code upgrade. Even though something has to be put on our roof, if it's not on there right now, we have to pay for it out of pocket. Fine details, minute details.
First-time home buyer. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Let's get taken advantage of. I love this industry. It's great.
I think a small thing you could do, with subscriptions, you end up having subscriptions you don't use. Like
all the time.
Reflect. You might have 10, 15. I don't even know.
I'm throwing Brian out
20.
here. We went through his. Remember, he had like 3 Spotifys.
What are you
doing with
you're doubling
3
up.
Spotifys?
Like those things, you could probably get rid of some of them, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I look at it from a standpoint, the big things right now is TV and, some of those movie or streaming services like that. Do you need Netflix, Hulu, Paramount,
Yes.
Showtime,
HBO
ABC?
Max,
Do you need every single one of those? Or are you really saying, hey, I only watch like one of these things? 99% of the time, too, if you leave, you'll probably get a free trial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
negotiate,
free
right?
trials,
Like
free
call.
trials are awesome. And actually, one of my first jobs that I had while I was in college, I shouldn't say one of the first jobs, but first jobs in college that I had, I sold or made appointments to sell DirecTV and Dish. And just like with your property and casualty insurance and those premiums, the cost of those things go up. So every 2 years, everybody gets these new customer deals. So what we would do as an authorized dealer for both is we'd say, okay, 2 years, you're on DirecTV. Next 2 years, we're going to switch to Dish so we can get those new customer discounts. Then we're going to switch back to DirecTV. And obviously, you have people that just love one or the other, but at the same time, it's a good way to cut those
They're up
costs
for
and keep it down.
negotiating, I feel like, too, if you
Always-
call in.
All the time.
Like,
Fun fact about life: you can almost negotiate everything. You just have to do it.
right.
It's the truth. All right, so we've got let's hit upon internet a little bit. So, are you paying for internet at home? And like most phone plans, you have unlimited data or very high data. Why pay for both if you need to cut some fat? Why not get rid of your internet at home and use your unlimited data? Look at the cost difference, and maybe you have to bump your plan to unlimited, but is it the same as $60-$70 a month for internet? I don't know.
What
Might be.
What speeds do you really need?
Yeah. What speed?
That's one that I've noticed too with myself is, are speeds really that much of a difference? Now, I'm not a gamer. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and play Call of Duty or Madden or anything online like crazy, but how much is that speed of value to you? Does it really matter that much?
Right. Yeah. Does it? All right. So we've got.
It does.
It does.
It might.
It
It might.
does.
It might be one of those things that you value more than the next.
Right.
But
But hey,
it's
Well, I
fat
think
that we
that
could trim.
it makes a good point. Like prioritizing for you and your family, like what are things you can't live without or can live? What I don't even know what I'm saying.
Can live with and
can't
can
live with.
without.
Yeah, and can't live
absolutely.
without.
we picked it up.
Yeah.
What you were
All
putting
right.
down.
Oh yeah.
What I'm throwing down.
All right, so we've gotten through most of the loan things, cutting those little things. Now the ones that really usually get to people, and that is going to be one, going out to eat, which includes
Love going
coffee,
out to eat.
gifts, and charitable donations. Now, if those are moving parts for you, we can have the conversation. If those are hard no's, then don't try to beat yourself up about it. Like, figure something else out, right? But let's go first with going out to eat.
I love it. I spend money going out to eat. That's one of my favorite things. But I think thinking about a budget, like especially with a family, it may be less or maybe more of a special occasion, depending on what you do. And we find that our food at home, because we love to cook at home, is sometimes even better than going out.
That's exactly what we do. But my question is to you is going out part of your grocery budget or not?
No, it's separate.
Okay. I'm going to pose this question because I think of going out to eat and groceries as the same. But why is it different?
For me, it's in my like experience bucket.
Your thought?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess for me, I mean, for me, it's separated as well. And I'm trying to think of, you're saying, should it be separated? I mean, I guess it's one of those things where you don't need to go out to eat. So I don't need this. It's my luxury ticket item. It's 90% of the people in this world have a coffee maker at home. They don't need to go to Starbucks, but they do anyways because they don't want to do it.
Hence the reason why can't it be that? Why shouldn't it be the same? So what I say about that is, if they're two line items, they're actually probably combined going to cost you more because you're probably going to go over both, right? If they're combined, you're probably only going to go over one line item. And the reason I say this is because if someone goes out to eat a lot and buys groceries, that is not great. There's a lot of fat there. You're probably, your food's going to get spoiled. You're not making as much at home, etc. Right? However, if we tilt that to one side or the other, you're actually spending less, right? So if I go out to eat more, but I don't buy groceries, you're still winning. It's still better could be just as good for your budget. Okay, let's not go to 801 like every night. Let's be intelligent with it,
Yeah.
right? And if we flip it the other way, if we had higher grocery and less going out, right? Overall, we're going to be better if they're in the same line item, because then you can control where they're going. If they're two separate ones, what's going to happen is usually you push the envelope to both. And if we're pushing envelope to both, what are we doing? We're overspending on both, which is wasting food somewhere. So that's the thought that I always throw out there of what is your philosophy when it comes to groceries and going out to eat? I don't mean going out to the bar with your friends and all that. That is a different experience bucket. I'm saying when you take your family or you go out to eat, where is that coming from? Because essentially, if you think about it, if I'm going out to eat for lunch, I'm really just should be pulling it from my grocery because I should have made it at home. Right?
Yeah. I mean, and I think for Carly and I, where we've helped our grocery budget and not waste food, different stuff like that, is we're like, okay, we're going to eat this meal this day, this meal this day, this meal this day, this meal this day. And guess what lunch is the next day?
Absolutely.
99% of the time
It's that.
hey,
So
we
my
had,
lunch is
we
today.
had stir fry. We had stir fry last
Last
night.
night's
Well,
dinner.
guess what? Stir fries for lunch tomorrow, whatever it might be. Now, I can admit that I'm not that person. I am not a meal prep kind of guy where I can have chicken and rice every single day of the week. That would drive me insane.
That's why Brian's crazy. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But that would drive me insane. But at the same time, I have some sort of meal prep saying, okay, I'm going to eat this day. I'm going to eat this day. Helps us trim that level of food waste.
And that's what we're going back to. Obviously, I'm a foodie. You can follow me everywhere. I post a lot about food. And sometimes I make too much, and I'm the one. Michelle doesn't like to eat leftovers that much. So me, And
By
if I make
yourself?
too much, then it's like my lunch for all week. So that's what we're focusing a little more on for 2 reasons. One, just higher nutrition, but 2, not meal prep as in what you were talking about, but meal prep is what you do of like, this is the meal that we're going to have, and then we can turn around and have that for lunch. And that means we don't end up buying lunch, right? I didn't buy lunch today. I have leftover Wagyu strip, which is
Yeah, I mean that's
obviously
that's
pretty
saved
good.
us
But like
a lot.
saves a lot.
Is that left? I mean, you have to like leftovers, I guess, or
Yeah, I love me some.
I
Not
love
every-
I love repurposing stuff.
Oh, I do too.
So like that's
Oh,
one of my
absolutely.
favorite things. I don't love leftovers, but I love repurposing leftovers. So if I have something, it's like, okay, well, I had steak. All right, well, guess what? I might cut that up and make it into fajitas, or I might cut it up and make it into something else. So
it's like all about food, and I'm
It
really.
is.
I think that's where our mindset is gosh, food sounds really good right now.
I need to eat more. So that's what I mean by groceries. So that's a big one that I think probably would be the one that people can move and cut the fat the most. But either you have to be a good enough cook to care, or you need to not buy groceries and just buy the normal like cereal or something. If you go extreme on either or, you'll come out ahead. You just can't go extreme on both, because then you're wasting somewhere as we go. So next, gifts. Again, if it's a non-starter, it's a non-starter. Move on. But that's a tough one. I know we've had to do it early on in our marriage, and when we were young, we just couldn't buy gifts for people. We would make them or give them like $10. Like we just didn't have the ability to gift people. And I noticed that with weddings. Shout out my buddy, my best friend Robbie Unger, for his second wedding. It was a good time. But my gift I got him this time was like 4 or 5 times as much as the other time, because now I'm at a point where we can do that. And I think that's important to realize of if you know where your budget is, right, while we're talking about this, then you can correlate it that way. And if you just can't get someone a gift, then be there. The experience is worth enough. And at the end of the day, if your friends, family, whoever it is, cares more about the gift that you got them, then you might want to reflect on who and what that relationship's like, because they should care more about spending time with you.
Right. I mean, you're talking about a wedding, you think about, gifts you got. I'm like going through my head of the gifts we got, and I remember the wedding. I don't remember every gift. I know we're using a lot of them.
I remember I remember 2 gifts because they're still in the basement and they haven't been unwrapped. Like that, I know they're there. I haven't used them. There's a whole an entire box of wine glasses.
Yeah.
There's like 40 of them in there. I'm waiting for them all to start
We
breaking.
need to have a house party.
And then the other is like extra silverware, which
yeah.
I've
No, I
used the
think
extra
gifts-
spoons. So that's about right.
Gifts are like showing someone that you care about them, but I also think being there really matters too at the end of the day. And I
Yeah.
think budgeting is okay for gifts. I mean, you can say based on this is what we've got,
Right. It's all we can do.
this is what we can do.
We have
$50, $100 limit, whatever.
Extensive spreadsheet as we just
Oh,
got
boy.
married in May.
Okay, I don't have
that
that.
says that
Nerds.
that our spreadsheet, well, it helped us, obviously reach out to the people, thank them, for being there for us or in any way capacity. But then we also say, okay, this person gave us $40. All right, well, guess what? We have this fund where here's $40 back to them, whatever it might be. And in that case, for me, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you're about to get married. Don't worry about getting us anything.
Right.
We'll just call it even. How's that sound? Sounds great. Sounds great.
Wait, I've traveled to yours. You have to travel to mine. Cool. Hand 5. Let's go. Like,
Exactly.
we
Well,
don't
and
need
you just mentioned a huge thing there. Travel. Most weddings nowadays, we're going somewhere else for those things. Buying a hotel.
Right.
So weddings aren't just the gift.
It's the whole thing.
It's the
It's the whole thing.
And
They're
if you're-
expensive.
and if you're
They're
in the
expensive.
wedding, there's another expense, right?
I had a
It's
friend
expensive.
get married in the Dominican. It
See,
was amazing.
I will always say, for anyone getting married, do a destination. Like, that's the only thing that we would change in ours is going somewhere.
Well, we got married on the East
'Cause that's
Coast, so we had
worth it.
a lot of family have to fly out the East Coast, and my family's all Midwest, so
Yeah, see?
they had to get there.
Because guess what? Your wedding's about you, not others. Let's start. We're not getting on a wedding topic. Let's stick to
Okay.
budgeting.
Actually, that would be a good
Well, that'd be fun.
episode.
Oh, yeah. Should have a little a one-off.
So you guys want to see my crazy budget tool
Yes.
that I have for my
We will put his crazy
Actually,
budget
that's
tool
a
up.
good idea. I like
Yeah.
that. It's a good episode.
And we'll sell it for $4.99 for easy payments up.
No,
Future episode.
So, but I think that same topic with gifts is the same thing for charitable donations. However, you do get somewhat of a tax write-off, which I think most people don't realize. The common person doesn't realize that is a thing, which is a different topic we'll get into of why you see billionaires and millionaires and companies and all this stuff donating or creating charitable organizations. It might be out of the goodness of their heart, but it's really out of the goodness of their pocket. But that's a different story. I think that's the same concept with the gifts and the charitable donations of saying, like, I get the religion part of it. I'm not a very religious person. I get the religion part. So if it's a non-starter, again, non-starter. But if it doesn't fit, like, don't hurt yourself and hurt your situation, because then you're not able to give back later. If you can build your wealth and get ahead, now you can give back tenfold of what you could have done.
right. And I think along those lines, when you're talking about, don't hurt yourself and different stuff like that. And we talked about prioritizing with Starbucks, and now we're talking about charitable donations and different stuff like that. That $7, $8 a day, if you want to put that towards your church, what does that, I guess, payment towards Starbucks or payment towards, any other expense, random expense like that, luxury item versus a charitable donation, how does that make you feel? And I think we talk about money mindset a lot. Doing those things that maybe puts others above yourself makes you feel a little bit better than saying, oh, hey, I need my mocha frappuccino with an extra shot of espresso from Starbucks or whatever it might be. It's, how does it make you feel?
Yeah. And if maybe you don't go to church or whatever and you still want to feel that way, then just pay it forward for someone in the coffee line then.
Yeah, amen.
Do something that way
Right.
if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, being able to
route.
give back. I think, people have certain values and that's important to them, and
It is. I mean, I think it's in
awesome.
human nature, right? We want to help others. Now, we used to physically do it by trading goats and sheep and doing work on others' property. Now, the really way is money. So just if you really want to do that, there's a lot of ways. Also, interrupt in the middle of this. Get a damn planner, okay? I'm going to do that every episode.
No, that's good. I mean, that planner can say, okay, how does this make you feel? You talked about how does that expense make you feel all the time? We talk about it all the time. All right, how does that make you feel? Does it make you kind of feel like, maybe I shouldn't have done that today. Maybe I should have just skipped that today, or I really don't need it. At some point, if you drink that much coffee, your body's like immune to caffeine anyways.
Yeah,
And
it's just not gonna
you're just good. Take a hiatus.
Yeah.
And that's why people get these caffeine crashes and different daily crashes and stuff like that all the time. But holy smokes, how does that make you feel?
By the way,
Right.
trust us because we're doctors.
Well,
I have a couple doctor friends.
yeah, exactly. We talked
I've
about that.
seen
We
a
talked
lot
about that
of
before.
ER and doctor shows.
I've had a plethora of surgeries.
Yes. So
I've seen the inside of
Quasi.
a hospital room a lot.
quasi doctor. It's fine.
That's funny.
It's fine. We'll be fine.
My mom loved hitting the deductible when I was a kid, so
I was doing my part. I was doing
Exactly.
my part.
It's an
Exactly.
expensive-
You're
it's
welcome.
good.
All right. So we've gone through the different routes, all of the things that someone who's never done a budget before should think about and hit upon. Now that they've done that, they've gone through it. What's not like? What should they do now? They should just implement it and do it, right? And do it over time, right? Hire a planner. But once you've done it, you've gone through those numbers, you have your averages, just do it. Just live life, stick to them, reflect every month or so on them, and then wait to the end of the year and go to our episode 6, right?
Yep.
And
That's it. It's that easy.
start over again and get to focus on that, right?
Yeah, I think it's the action steps of actually doing it. Baby steps, whatever you want to call it. Like, you need to take action, and it needs to be some of the stuff you need to automate. I think that's helped me. It's just money's, you pay yourself first, that you talk about that, or money's going into different accounts, whatever you need to do, and you're not even thinking about it. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah. And so now you're starting that, and that's with your current income. Now the fun thing, just like the mortgage and rent. Right?
Yeah.
Now let's get into ways that someone can earn more income, because the more income we have really makes this whole budget thing a lot easier. So let's start with the one you teased earlier about mortgages.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
get a damn roommate.
Yeah. I think there's a sense of that sense of ownership and that sense of pride when somebody buys a house and they get that house. Well, at the same time, I don't care if you can be a married couple and still have roommates, you can have anything. But if you're at that capacity and you're like, maybe I'm struggling with this, maybe it's time to say, okay, hey, what could I do that would not only help me, but help somebody else? Hey, friend, guess what? I have this extra room. I know you're moving to the area, or your rent is crazy expensive at this apartment. Why not have a house where you have everything readily available and you don't have to share anything with anybody else, and you don't have to struggle to find a parking space, exactly. Like, you have basically everything to yourself here. Let's trim some of your fat at the same time we're trimming some of mine. Help me help you.
Help me. That's a very good one. Any other ideas of how to generate more income? Now, this is assuming most likely you're W-2, right?
Yeah.
You're doing everything you can to be the best employee possible to your boss, and you've asked for raises, and you're trying to move up the ladder. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's assume you're that person. Because if you're a business owner, then this thing gets complex and out of hand really fast. But let's assume you're just a W-2 person working your normal 9 to 5-ish hours, however that looks now virtually. What are some other ways to earn some income?
Well, I was just going to add on what you were just saying. If you haven't negotiated, it's a good time to negotiate a raise. So go in. I mean, right now in this time, they're looking for good people. Right. You're doing good work. They're looking for good people everywhere. You're doing good work. Make note of what you've done this last year, and go into your boss and have that conversation about your goals, where you want to be in the company, and then also your financial goals, and start negotiating your salary if you haven't done that already. If you've done it, now is still a good time to do it, and continue to ask for more and prove that you're the valued employee that you are, and raise that income from where it's at.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to negotiate and talk about it. Obviously, we have to assume that you're producing and you're doing your job, and you're not,
right.
lazy.
We just saw a prime example of it with one of the biggest companies in the world with John Deere.
Yeah.
A union. Now, this was a collective group of people doing this and fighting against the company and wanting, better pay, better work life, whatever it might be. But at the same time, if those people can do it, they were seeing newcomers get bonuses, newcomers get this, newcomers get these higher wages. You're already there. Go into HR, go into your boss and say, hey, listen, this person's getting this. I've been loyal to you. I've produced. I've done great work. I've been, responsible. You haven't had to sit here and always fill my shift or whatever it might be. I think it's time and I think it's fair of me to ask maybe, hey, maybe I can reap the rewards of what I'm doing for you.
For sure. So outside of that, well, you ask for raises, you do that. There's always a side gig out there.
Absolutely.
My wife just told me this weekend that she was going to offset her Athleta purchases, and I was like, oh, say
Does
more.
she know she can get a discount, right?
Say more, right? I don't know.
Okay.
You have to text her that. I agree, she should. But she even said, like, Amazon and stuff hires for weekend deliveries that you just deliver out of your own car, kind of like the Uber, but like Amazon. Didn't even know that. Didn't know it was a thing. I was like, sweet. There's easy income on the weekend. Just go deliver some packages. Obviously, you could do the Ubers and all of that. There's a lot of things online you can do. I mean, there's just these little things that on your off time that are your own hobbies. If you want to, you can create them into a revenue stream of some kind and have fun doing it. So there's a lot of ways to make more money. You just have to be willing to use the time to do it.
Well, and I think you can do that through some investment strategies too. What are some things that you're interested in? We're going to talk about this in just super, super in depth with these conversations, but real estate. Are you passionate about real estate? Do you want to help an investment company flip? Do you want to own a couple properties yourself? How does that look in your portfolio, and can you make it happen? Let that give you some passive income. You can make your W-2 income. Let these, duplexes or apartment complexes or single family, it doesn't matter. Let these other properties give you some income as well.
Commercial? Little plug?
I was leading into
it a little bit. Trinity Investment Firm did not sponsor this video, but they will soon. Commercial property is a good one. I think there's something out there that if you know a lot of people, we're not talking about being an influencer or whatnot, but I'm going to go along the lines of something for Trinity or for others is if you know people who are investors who like this and want to do this, you might not have the money. But I bet if you talk to a firm and said, hey, I have a group of X people who have X amount of dollars that want to invest, I'm pretty sure that they're going to cut you a nice little fee. I know we do at Trinity and at Kala. Why wouldn't they others do that too? And that's something that doesn't really take any effort. Hey, I know 5 people who want to invest $1 million in your next property. Sweet.
Come on in.
Come on in. Here's a check.
Well, and I think
simple.
You did say, do you have some sort of following? Somebody that you know probably has some interest that you have, right?
Yep.
So some company, or you could reach out to some company if you're really passionate, for example, about Gatorade water bottles, whatever it might be. Hey, Gatorade,
you can customize these.
I have X amount of followers. Gatorade might say, hey, we'll give you $10 a post, or we might do something like that. You can reach out to these companies. And you can do that, and it's pretty simple. Like you said, these internet opportunities are all over. Oh, hey, this person needs you to dictate or type something for them.
They make they can make a lot of good money just typing.
Yeah.
And even the ones that there's some fake ones out there. But
absolutely.
Reading articles, legitimately, you get paid to read articles.
Okay, I can do that.
No, you already do that.
I am reading that. I am reading articles. No, I just got messaged on for Instagram to promote product. We'll give you a free product. I wasn't going to get paid, but free product, try this, try that, and put it out there.
So there's a lot of ways. There are a lot of ways to make money.
Passionate about coaching. For some of us, 2 of us sitting in this room, we're coaching, and you'll probably get into it in the future, having your voice. But with coaching, different stuff like that. Are you passionate about it? Do you have some hours that you can allocate towards that and say, okay, maybe, I got X amount of dollars? Or if you're not getting paid for that coaching, is it a way to grow your business and grow yourself and grow your company?
Yeah. So that's how you make more
money. That's a good coaching plug. I like it.
All right. So we've went through someone who's never done a budget all the way through to even making more money. Now let's go to the other line item or line or path. It's going to be a lot easier.
Other journey.
Because we just explained everything.
Yeah.
If you have a current planner or you already do a budget, you need to go to episode 6 and you need to do this and basically be done. But really, it's going to be the same conversation, except for what you're looking at and a little more exactly of what you're doing, but the steps are exactly the same. And that's kind of how we teed it up. It's the same for all of us. Just some of us might have someone helping us, or we have the experience of going through it year after year after year after year.
I think you've done the details. You've dug into the numbers. So you take a little bit of a step back from that, and maybe you're not in that as much, or you have your planner working in that space, and you're out experiencing life, and you know what's coming in, what's going out.
Yeah.
But also, if you have done a budget and you're doing it on your own, how is it making you feel? We're going to keep going back to this money mindset. How is it making you feel? If that budget just frustrates you, angers you, you have a negative mindset towards it, and you just hate doing it, but you have to, and you don't have a planner, let that planner help. Let that planner find somebody. Let that planner do it for you.
Right.
Make life easier on yourself.
Take a load off. Yeah.
Exactly.
Make life easier. Put it on us. We stress about it. Make us figure things out at 5 a.m. or 7 o'clock at night, or why Schwab.
And we're doing these things ourselves too. We're not just, hey, this person or this person, we're going to do your budget with you. We're doing our own budgets too. It's part of our job. We're clients in our own world.
Yeah. And I'm the worst client to myself.
Isn't that always how it always is?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think so.
I cuss myself out all the time.
What are you doing?
Why did you buy $1,500 worth of meat? I'm not buying it the rest of the year. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But the last time you did this was July. That's only 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're all learning. Like, it's an ongoing process. Right. So nobody's perfect. Nobody's, we're in the business, but nobody's perfect. So I think we keep learning, and what we learn, we can share with clients. It's
the law of averages, like you said, or if I want to get economic and nerdy, how I do, it's supply and demand and equilibriums. Hey, my supply or my budget exceeded this month. I'm in a surplus, or hey, I'm short. I'm in a shortage this next month. What do I have to do? It's always moving.
Always, and always will be.
It's a benchmark. Budgets are more of a benchmark. There's a benchmark number that, hey, let's shoot for this number, whether we have a surplus of cash and we don't ever get to that benchmark, or we go way over it. What do we need to do?
Right. Now, if your fixed costs are going way over, you might want to check into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, your loan payment shouldn't be doubling and tripling every month. That's not good. But what's budgeting? Well,
that was fun.
Was it? I had fun. I had a great time.
That was good.
I don't want to go do mine, but I had a great time right here. It was fantastic. But we're going to encourage you, get a planner, hire somebody to sit down and help you through this, and make sure you have somewhat of a good relationship or emotional connection, because this is the hardest thing. We've talked about it before with our new clients. The homework piece of doing just what we've talked about today on the budgeting is the hardest step there is to financial planning. And we just keep encouraging to get that done as much as we can.
And guess what? Once you do it the first time, it gets easier.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The first time is the worst time. Every single time. The first time is the worst time, and we talked about it before. Getting started, getting into the gym for that first time, making sure that, hey, I might not know what I'm doing, but eventually I'm going to figure this thing out.
So trim the fat.
Hey.
Let's try to build some muscle. If not, at least trim a little bit of fat. Leave about inch and a half. Still have some fun, something to play with. Do your social media thing that you do.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do it for this episode 6, but episode 7 here with this budget talk. If you guys like the stuff that we're saying, be sure to reach out, comment, call us out if you don't like something that we said. If you want to be a part of the show, always reach out. That'd be great. We always love having guests on and getting new perspectives. And then as always, like, subscribe, share, follow, share with your friends, talk about it, come in and see us, hang out with us. And who knows, maybe we'll have a drink and you'll be sitting in a chair right here, or zooming in, and we'll be talking about different stuff with you further.
Absolutely. So
and if you have a budget wedding story, just share it.
Oh, yeah.
Reach out.
Story, we'll definitely retweet
or
that.
any budget story. We'll take it.
Or just send it to
us.
us. You can email it to us. We'll throw it on the air. Don't worry. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Have fun budgeting, and have a happy New Year.
The preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities, or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors, including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.